What is going on, everybody? Jonah here. I did it right for the first time ever. Welcome back, everybody, to another...
He's maturing.
I'm maturing. Welcome back to another episode of LifeCast. My name's Jonah. Online, I use the username tag Lord Valor. Hope you guys are doing great. I don't know why I'm starting the podcast off like this. It's honestly, it's been so long. It has been too long. 2024, my first guest of 2024, is the Ross, also known as Advanced Raccoon, I guess is your gamer tag.
Advanced Raccoon.
Yeah.
Because Advanced Recon wasn't cutting it for me anymore.
Yep.
Wait, that's
yes.
that's an old one.
That Rin. Yep.
That didn't even happen this past summer. That happened last summer.
Yeah, I may have made a mistake in one of the Siege videos. In the first Siege video of the new year, I said when you got your first one tap. I assumed that happened in 2023. Though if I go back, it might have happened in late 2022.
It happened. All it matters is that it happened.
Yep. So
something happened.
I really got to go back and just look at the recording and see what the date was. But
our annals of history are just incomplete.
It's all just mushing together like mashed potatoes and gravy, man.
I don't want mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah. Your carbon footprint wouldn't like that, though. Anyway.
I'm going to eat a mountain of mashed potatoes and gravy. I'm going to make one of those... Have you seen the people on Instagram who do, the dinosaur nugget? With, so it's, mashed potatoes made into a mountain with gravy as the lava.
I've not seen this.
Have you? Really? So basically what these people do is that they make dino nuggies, and then they put them in the mashed potatoes. That's like a landscape with a volcano in the middle, mashed potato volcano with gravy coming out, and then they use broccoli as the trees.
Oh my word.
It's kind of funny.
Wow, I've not seen that. Anyway, let's do some news, Ross. We've gotten the small talk out of the way. Yes, news. Top box office this past week, or this week, last weekend, not this weekend, last weekend. The Beekeeper was the top.
Oh, that actually came out?
Yeah, it's been in theaters actually for a little bit.
Oh,
but,
wow.
It climbed to the #1 spot this past week. For the week, not for all time, but for the week of what was out there. Mean Girls at #2, Wonka at #3, which I've heard mixed reviews about Wonka. I don't know. You haven't seen it. Have you seen any of the Willy Wonka movies?
I saw the one with Johnny Depp in it.
Got it.
But that was a very long time ago, and
that was 2006.
Was that really 2006?
I think that was 2006.
And the only thing I remember is the fat kid eating a chocolate river and the blueberry girl.
Yeah, drop in the comments what you thought about Wonka, because I'm hearing a lot of mixed reviews.
Yeah, guys, drop in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe.
I was trying to be really subtle about it, all right, Ross? I was trying to be
as subtle as a brick.
Okay, well, a brick is subtle if it's with other bricks against the wall.
Just another brick in the wall.
Just another brick in the wall. All right, Migration. Never heard of it.
Oh no, that's the
animated duck movie.
Yeah. That one actually looks kind of entertaining.
It does kind of look entertaining.
That to me looks like it's just like a good kids movie that you can watch. So it's like I probably won't watch it now, but
when it drops on a streaming service.
Yeah, it drops on a streaming service.
We'll probably end up watching it together.
Yeah.
Anyone But You. It's a rom-com. This one's actually really interesting because it actually seems to have revived rom-coms. From what it seems. Anyone But You. It's a rom-com. It's all right.
I think I've heard something about it, but I don't
know names of actors as well as I should for a digital.
Because I thought that had what's his face? He was in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
He wasn't Rooster's the other guy. Because Rooster was Goose's son, and then the other guy, Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell.
He played Hangman in Maverick, and he was kind of like the Maverick-esque new character. That's okay. I knew I heard that somewhere because of Glenn Powell, because I liked his role in Top Gun Maverick, obviously.
Yeah, well, it was all right. Nothing to really.
Did you actually watch that?
Yeah.
Oh, when did you watch that?
Me and Caitlin went to it. Just as a date night. It was a strange date night movie. I would not recommend, honestly.
Well, I don't have a girlfriend, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Just outed myself on.
Outed myself is gets no bitches. No, so
they tell me all the time I get no bitches,
listen.
and I keep on seeing evidence of this, and I think, guys, this needs to stop. This is the worst trade deal in history, maybe ever. That is something that has actually been going on in our personal lives. We've been doing way too many Trump impressions.
Oh gosh, the Fortnite video that releases on February 14. You should go watch that one. That's probably
it's on Valentine's Day, so it's an excellent thing to watch with your significant other.
Oh, it is probably one of the funniest videos I've ever edited for multiple senses of the word.
Some of you might die, but that's a chance Jonah's willing to take.
I am willing. Yeah, I'm willing to take that chance to kill half of your souls. Anyway,
he needs them for more Dark Souls.
Yeah. I must acquire more souls. Yeah. Well,
the souls. I need them.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm sorry if that hurt you. What else? What else happened? We should talk about what movies we're excited to see. Which number one is Argyle.
Oh yeah, Argyle.
That one looks good. I'm telling you already. The Agent Argyle is the cat. You heard it here first, folks. The cat is Argyle, and Henry Cavill is someone else. I don't know, but that movie does look interesting. I think we can get a bunch of people on board to go to us with that one.
Yeah, Caitlin really wants to see it too, so most likely.
Yeah, I think Andrew wants to see it. I think Nathan and Jessica.
It's along the same lines as The Kingsman, and I really, really, really liked The Kingsman. I liked the story. I liked movies. The comedy. It didn't take itself too seriously, so. Yeah. It was a top tier movie. A little bit sexual. The second one was. But not much we can really do about that. Yeah. It's still entertaining.
It's still very entertaining.
Oh, we need to update. I don't know if we've talked on the podcast what we've been watching. We finished Gen V.
Did we talk about that last time?
Well, we did, but we hadn't finished it. So.
Yeah. Wow.
It was. I don't know. It was worth it for spoilers, I guess, but who cares? It was worth it for the Butch cameo at the end for 5 seconds. That was
absolutely worth it for the Homelander and Butch cameo. 100%.
Me and Ross had this really weird moment where Homelander showed up and we went, yeah, woo, and then we went, wait, we fucking hate that guy.
Wait. Pump the brakes. What are we doing?
We were just excited that the reason I was celebrating, I'm sure Ross, you can get on board with this. It was more of just it's finally fully coming to circle and actually is gonna have some gravity when it comes to the 4th season of The Boys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. See, all our viewers are gonna take this as us trying to defend our choices for cheering for Homelander.
No, I'm not that hardcore of a Republican. I am not that aggressively Republican.
At least according to you. According to Nathan, he seems to think otherwise.
This podcast means so much more if you watch our videos. I'm just saying. There's so many in-jokes on this channel.
You assume they watch the podcast more than the videos.
No, the videos, it's actually the other way around. But I feel like there's one or two of you that just stick around just for the podcast.
Is one of them Kayla?
She doesn't listen to the podcast anymore.
Boo.
But I really should bother her about it and see if she can just up my views on all of my LifeCast videos. Caitlin might be going back and watching some of these. I don't know how far she'll go back because this goes all the way back to high school for me.
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We'll just tell her to start where I start coming into these videos, and then that's where the content really starts.
Yeah. Well, if you are an avid listener of LifeCast, which is none of you, I apologize for the lack of production of LifeCast. It is the easiest thing to do, yet I don't do it as much as I could.
He likes the harder projects.
It's more of it doesn't rake in views. I used
does
to
not rake in
pump
views.
out the LifeCast videos because it would get me like 20 minutes of watch time, and like for my channel at that point, that was really, really good. Like the watch time was up, everything was up about it, so I'd pump it out. So it would maybe get only 4 views, but it would get me 60 minutes of watch time because the 4 people that watched it, most of it watched all the way through. So as this channel begins to grow, my hope is to be able to do podcasting a couple times a month and to up the production level. Actually have like a schedule with who co-hosts with me, and stuff like that. But as this channel begins to grow, I'll begin to take LifeCast and this podcast a little more seriously. But what rakes in the views right now is Siege, Lethal Company, and then the heavily edited stuff. So
great asset to the company.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't think I'm really apologizing or giving this speech to really anybody at this point. I'm sure this is just going out into the abyss of YouTube and just getting lost, which is fine.
This is just you making sense of it to yourself.
Correct. Yeah. So anyway, that's a quick update on that. Gen V, yeah, I think we both liked it, but we're more excited for the boys.
Oh yeah,
season 3 or 4.
Gen V was good. It obviously had its quirks, and it was kind of interesting, but they didn't make it too focused on anything. Like, they didn't make it too much of the boys, and they didn't make it too much of like Gen V where it's disconnected. They made it the right amount of connected and not connected. I mean, obviously the cameos of Homelander, and I think A-Train was in there at one point too. Maybe no, he wasn't dead by this point. I don't remember.
Well, if A-Train was in it, it was posters or it was like a flashback or something. I remember seeing him in some way, shape, or form, but I don't remember why.
Yeah, so there's that. Homelander and Butch cameos, we both covered that. Amazing. The characters were good. The main character, fine. Her roommate, good. The golden boy who dies, literally golden boy who dies.
Yeah.
Was also, his subplot was actually pretty cool. His brother that was kept in the experimental facility, interesting. And then the dean who was trying to make the virus to kill all the superhumans, also really flippin' interesting.
Yeah.
Like, there's a, like...
I mean, okay, update on what happens. In Gen V, basically what happens is there's the school is creating a virus that would kill soups.
Well,
only kill soups.
Well, no, it was finding a way to control soups originally.
Right.
So the head of school there, not provost, the dean, basically was like, I don't like the soups at all, and I want to kill them. But she also explained that Godolphin University, which is what it was called, the university that all these young superheroes went to, the reason it was created was because they found out, it's like, oh hey, let's study superhuman beings and disguise it as educational experience, so that way we can understand them better, that way we can control them better as weapons or as pawns in humans' little game, stuff like that. So yeah, I would recommend giving it a watch, but same monikers with the boys. Don't watch it out anyone who is squeamish and or children.
Bruh, there is a commercial of this guy, he's like feeding his baby while watching the boys. Don't do that. Don't do that. Literally, babies can they see so much, they understand so much you don't understand. Just don't do that. But anyway, yes, if you can handle the violence,
the baby whisperer talking.
Yes, the child whisperer.
That sounds even worse.
Exactly why I said it. Somebody out there laughed. Somebody out there in the abyss thought it was funny. But yeah, no, Ross, the next thing I'm making Ross watch is Rick and Morty, which he watched the first episode. You said you liked it.
Yep.
So we're going to continue through that. Season 7 is now on HBO Max, I believe. So that means it'll be coming to Hulu probably by the time we get there. So, man, I can't wait for you to get into those later seasons. It gets really funny. And I know I've been talking about Rick and Morty since the high school on this podcast. So if you dive back in the 37 episodes that we go back there, there's one called, I don't know, it's Rick and Morty something. And I talk to Jasper about the season 4 or 5 or something.
Jasper.
Yeah,
Oh my
Jasper helped me actually uplift this podcast. He actually is the one who actually started it with me.
Really?
Yeah. Me and him would.
That's a blast from the past.
That is really a blast from. I gotta cut out his last name. Damn it. But yeah, me and Jasper, lifted up this podcast. Lifted up. He helped me create this podcast.
Wow.
And I've been doing it since high school, and I haven't stopped. So I guess that means something, right? I listen to a lot of podcasts.
You listen to a lot of podcasts?
Podcasts. Wow, podcast. We're the podcast. No, so yeah, there's just some cool information for you. I think
saucium lore.
Some saucium lore. Drop in the comments what we used to be called way back when we created the channel in high school.
Oh,
all right.
Boy, you told me this once. I forgot about it.
Yeah, well, if you scroll up, if you scroll up on this playlist, you can find the name. It's not that hard to find. But anyway, Ross, our subject for today, it has been the most streamed movie on Hulu for 2 or 3 weeks in a row now. If you didn't catch it from the title of this episode, we are going to be talking about The Creator. No, we are not talking about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So if you have a minute, we would like to talk to you about him.
The power of Jesus' name.
Yes, amen. But if you haven't, we'll talk to you about him later. But we're talking about the movie, specifically The Creator, that streams on Hulu. And I know I had high expectations going into this, Ross.
I did too.
Ross did too.
And from all the adverts they were doing, I was expecting a really good movie about. Well, I didn't know what I was expecting. I was expecting, a pretty serious, adventure with the main character and the child. Kind of a lot more serious. Hi, Andrew. Yeah, you're okay. We love you. Anyway. So it was certainly an interesting movie. Where was I? Seriousness. I thought it was going to be way more serious, of kind of like that father-son duo, or father-daughter in this case duo, than like The Mandalorian was.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of, you've seen a lot of media recently come out with kind of that whole, rough, gruff guy gets a little kid and has a heart of gold and becomes a golden knight and stuff like that. I was expecting kind of that, and it kind of happened. But the movie, it was interesting to say the least.
If you didn't gather from our general tone about describing the movie, neither of us liked the movie that much. Well, I mean, okay. I enjoyed the visual effects. I enjoyed some of the jokes, even if I thought the jokes kind of threw the vibe of the movie off. The jokes were sometimes well-timed, sometimes not. It tried to say things. I think the reason I wanted to do a podcast about this is because me and Ross kind of came to the same conclusion when we were talking about it. It was like, it tried to say a lot about AI and American imperialism, but it successfully said nothing about either of those things.
In my case, I wanted to support AI even less than I currently do, and to support American imperialism more.
And I think the issue we're going to run into here is both of us are going to be looking at this from a Christian perspective, and it's hard. If I were not a Christian, I think I'd be looking at this movie very differently.
That's a fair assessment, yes.
And that's because when it comes to the concept of souls and AI and what it means to be human, AI isn't even close to any of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The movie makes the claim if anything, this movie is very pro AI. And the movie makes the claim, it's like, well, once these AI like got going and were able to be aware or whatever, according to this, they were able to make their own culture. They were able to make their own traditions, rituals. Well, yes, but they were also trained to be able to think like humans and to act like humans. And what do humans do when they have their own culture? They create their own rituals, their own jokes, their own stuff. So just because they can create that doesn't make them human. This movie seemed to try to play off of the same vibe as to Blade Runner or
Which
the
I
original.
Still need to see.
The original is the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and that book and even that movie does exponentially more than this movie has ever done. This movie didn't add anything to this conversation that book and that movie didn't already bring to the table, and I came to the same conclusion when I watched both of the films. So it's hard for me to say that I enjoyed this movie and that it was, I don't know, helpful. It didn't add anything to the conversation. It didn't make me think about anything in a new way. If anything, it was just great visual effects with a mid-story with no meaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of running off on that AI trail. I was a computer science major for a year, which doesn't allow me to say much, but from what I do understand of AI, there are certain tests that they have to pass. One of them is the Turing test, which basically means, can robots actually understand the ideas behind, like, emotion? I forget what the Turing test completely is. But basically, I don't know how they were able to solve the Turing test besides not explaining it. Like, they explained it that the creator was this original guy who was able to imbue the machines and the symbionts, so the half AI, half people, with the ability to kind of feel and care and turn their programming into more like what a human would feel rather than what a program would do. And you see that a lot with AI today. You think, and you see that on AI chatbots. You see that on a lot of things where they obtain information and then they're able to kind of react to it in a certain way, but that way is devoid of any sort of care. It's devoid of any sort of love. It's devoid of any sort of feeling for it, because machines can ultimately feel. And this is something I do know, is that the reason why they can't feel is because of machine code. If you know that, that's binary, it's ones and zeros, and a machine can only understand on or off, which they do hit in the movie. That's why the main character was saying on and off whenever he turned off, whenever he killed someone or he switched them off in the back, because machines that's the only thing they are able to truly understand is on and off. Because if you understand that, you're able to use logic gates and machine code to turn the ons and offs into high level code, which turns it into computer programs, which turns it into the whole system. But it's still based off of ones and zeros, and it would have been really nice if they gave any explanation, even a stupid explanation, of how the creator was able to solve this problem that AI currently has.
Yeah.
And kind of speaking to the whole AI thing, like, it's interesting because, they think of taking, like, the movie wanted to set itself up as, AI are like kind of like the next second class citizens. We only use them for labor and other things, but they have feelings too. But I'm like, they don't. They only understand on and off. And it ultimately also did fail to hit on another central plot point of the movie, which is the nuking of Los Angeles.
Yeah, okay, that was my other thing. So, spoilers ahead. We kind of got into spoilers, but, like, officially, this is your warning if you don't want this spoiled. At the beginning of the film, it showed that Los Angeles got blown up.
Finally. If you're not understanding what's happening, I just made Jonah laugh.
No, so Los Angeles got blown up, and then it's like never revisited. It's not explained. The robots aren't like, oh, that wasn't us, that was an accident. Like I just needed like a one-liner of someone like explaining.
There was one line, and it was by the kind of like the rebel leader guy, the symbiote guy.
Yeah.
Who was kind of old. He said it was a human coding error that made the nuke go off, and I'm like, that doesn't help me. That doesn't help me that doesn't say anything to me about like what was the circumstances. Like, I feel like a movie about why the nuke went off would be way more entertaining than the creator, because it actually follows the development cycle of AI, the coding errors that probably went on in humans. Because if there's one thing you have to understand about AI is that it takes millions and millions of lines of code to make sure AI can run. And a lot of that is generated through dumber AIs, literally.
I'm gonna say, other AI is used to make AI, which is smarter is AI. Crazy. And like there is some value to the fact that AI can fix its own problems. If it sees like a error in a code, it can like recode it and kind of fix itself. That is a thing that they have proven that AI can do.
Yeah.
But let's just get some major things about robots and AI that are the reasons why I don't agree with the moral of this movie. Do you agree with the moral of this movie, Ross? I'm not going to assume for you. Okay.
I do not.
So there isn't really a moral, but if there is a moral, it seems to be, if anything, pro AI. And the reason why I don't buy that is, one, robots do not have feeling. It doesn't matter. They are programmed to act like humans. That's not actual feeling. Two, robots do not have souls. Most people, not even non-Christians, believe in some type of soul or spirit or something. Robots do not have that. So to murder all of AI, you're wasting metal. That's all you're doing. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's the way it is. And if AI ever takes over this world, they're gonna watch this podcast and I'm gonna get murdered. But that's okay. Whatever. Emotion, soul. There was one other thing I'm not remembering, but those are the two major things.
All we need to do is turn off the power. Literally. If we're gonna, like, they can only run on electrical power. There's no such thing as a mechanical AI.
Yep.
Because if you produce a mechanical thing that can run on its own, it's called a clock.
Mm. Yep.
And it uses gears, and it uses torque, and it uses mechanical force, and a lot of other different things to work, which kind of follows that idea of a machine understanding on and off, but unlike a computer and machines where you have to use ones and zeros to explain on and off, this just uses mechanical force, physical science, all that different things, all things like that. I mean, but yeah, like the entire, like, it seems to me like Gareth Edwards, the director of the movie, who also directed Rogue One, which is my favorite Star Wars movie, it seemed like he was trying to say something about AI, and it feels like part of me, you know, I feel like he got this idea after writing K2SO in Star Wars in Rogue One, because, you know, K2SO had, you could say he had some sort of feeling, you could say he had some sort of personality about him, but he was still a robot with his coding, and there's only so much there's only so much he could do, and only so much he can understand as a robot. But yeah, so Gareth Edwards is trying to make this point about AI, or we think he's trying to make this point about AI, that, you know, we should look into treating them better. We should look into, you know, not running them through these laborious tasks, but then that's exactly what they're designed for. You can also make that argument. That's what people said about slavery, and it's just like, well, there's a difference there, because those are actual human beings. This is a machine that we turned on.
Yep, that we created. This was made to serve a purpose, and going off that idea of our
our Christian ideals. An AI is not made in the image of God.
No.
And that is something that is... I think they tried to touch on it in the movie with the kid trying to... asking at one point if she's going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
Because she thought she was going to die. And the guy was like, how do you answer that for a machine that relies on electrical power only for its existence? Yeah. So, it's always hard to talk about AI in this context because if you pay attention to trends in business and in any type of I don't want to say the word digital media or we'll say STEM for this. In business and STEM, AI is the new hot thing on the block. It allows you to compute things faster. It allows you to create code faster. It allows you to have insights into projects and data that you could never see by looking through it manually, because it is able to process that information 1,000 times faster than a human. The problem is that it's only designed to process that information faster than a human because it doesn't have the emotional baggage or any of the other type of baggage that we as humans have.
Emotional baggage, energy, we get exhausted and need to sleep, and AI really doesn't need to sleep.
Technically, if it's always plugged into a power source.
Correct. It's not like in the human sense. A lot of assumptions seem to were made when the creator was created. In the same way, me and Ross are making a lot of assumptions about AI because of our Christian beliefs. The person, what was his name, who directed it?
Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards. I don't know if he wrote it. That's fair. I don't know whoever wrote The Creator seemed to have made a lot of assumptions about AI and their belief behind AI. So, I would be interested to talk to someone who is not as religious as us and see what they kind of thought of it. It's rated a 6.8 on IMDb, which isn't great, but isn't terrible. I think the strongest aspect of the movie what did it have, an $80 million budget?
Yeah.
It was all completely all of its visual effects and stuff.
Its visual effects were amazing.
Was the best part of the movie. It was not. I don't think it was nominated for any awards or Oscars or anything. Which that should have been our news at the beginning of the show, because there's a lot of controversy around Barbie right now because it wasn't selected for best leading actress. Pardon me, actress. But we won't get into that now. But the visual effects were phenomenal, and I don't know. I was engaged with the story the whole time. So to a certain degree, they told a story, but it didn't successfully give me a moral. Which some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, but we don't like a moral. We don't want to think, and that's fine. So I guess if you watch this as a movie with not thinking about it's what it's trying to say, which it doesn't say anything in my opinion. But if you don't watch it and see what it's trying to say, then you're gonna probably enjoy the movie, because the plot was fairly easy to follow. There was a point in the middle where there was a plot twist where the person that is your wife is actually the big bad guy, and I was like, oh no, who saw that coming? Oh no, I wasn't shocked, you know what I mean? And it was treated as a plot twist, but then the plot twist at the end was that she actually died, and she uploaded her consciousness /
No, she basically utero scanned her baby into becoming the child that the main character, aka the dad of said child, followed around.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about something different. At the end of the movie, when she died, she uploaded her consciousness to a USB drive, and then her supposed child that she's growing, that plugged her into a copy of herself, and then as the U.S. ship exploded, the main character and his wife got to kiss, even though she was a robot with the memories of a human, which that gets really tricky because it definitely was like that. There's no soul in that robot, even though it has the memories of a real person. Yeah, it gets really complicated. Again, Christian beliefs really, really wreck this movie for me sometimes. But learning to get through that is interesting. I don't know. What did you think about the end, Ross? I've been rambling. I don't think the end was the end shot of the kid looking at the fallen US thing and smiling, and it was like, I think the first thing that came out of my mouth was, what the heck?
That part I kind of understood, because she's like both, because technically her original mission, which was to be a weapon, was completed, and they kind of touched on it in the movie when the leader of the resistance that I kind of talked about earlier, the main resistance guy that we meet, he and another actual robotic soldier talk about, the child know what her purpose is, and her entire purpose is to be a weapon.
Yep.
And the leader kind of says she doesn't know, and the robot storms off and basically saying, how can we, which to me says, how can you value your life as a symbiote or an AI person or a robot if you're going to use it as a weapon?
Yeah. Which was
probably the most interesting thing for me. But at the end, I think it was her. I think it was both like kind of like the ability in quotations to cry and kind of showing, or the director or the writer showing that AI has the ability to feel sadness and joy at the same time, which is kind of a human thing. It's like same thing what we would think about a funeral. We're sad that the person has passed away, but we are joyful that they went to go join Jesus up in heaven.
Yep.
And we eventually hopefully get to see them in the second coming. But the interesting, I will kind of shift this to the topic of American imperialism, because that's another thing that, viewers, you kind of, I don't know how much you know about me, but that is a huge topic for me personally, because I'm very interested in a lot of military aspects of the world, and so seeing the writers and the directors, their version of American imperialism was kind of quite interesting. So the main idea in this movie is that the U.S. built this massive airship called the USS Nomad, and it was really weird. If you remember the very big Super Star Destroyer from Star Wars Episode 8,
yeah,
the big one that looked like not even the small ones that looked like the giant Dorito, the even bigger one with the very wide wings. It kind of looked like that, but it had two protruding down angles from it, which was kind of interesting.
It was a big T-pose in the sky.
It was literally a big. That's a very good explanation. But basically, it was basically just a gigantic missile carrier and missile carrier command center that the U.S. used to hunt down AI in their war against AI. But this thing had unlimited range. It was practically unbeatable, which is why the creator made the girl so that she could destroy the USS Nomad, because it is this I would call it an overbearing presence in the entire movie. Like, it is always there. It has the ability to lock on your position, which, funny enough, actually requires AI to do. So it kind of hits on the. So maybe there's another little thing that we didn't notice, is that it hits on the hypocrisy of the U.S. or the U.S. and a lot of Western countries banning AI because they see it as dangerous.
But they have to use it.
But they have to use it in order for weapons targeting systems to actually work the way they want them to.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that ship only fired thermobaric warheads, which are pretty powerful explosives if you don't know what that is. But the lesson it was trying to give about American imperialism is that maybe not, or in essence, USS Nomad was Americans' eyes over the world, or American military eyes over the world, and constantly enforcing in areas where they don't have jurisdiction, where they say, hey, we're not at war against you. We're at war against this sub-faction in your country who has hurt us. And I think what the director and writers were trying to get to is, the type of American imperialism that we often see is not necessarily the best thing for the world. But the interesting thing is the ship by itself was like the only thing that we saw in the movie that was really
besides the tanks.
The tanks too, which don't even get me started on those.
Those are the most corporate ass looking tanks we've ever seen.
Quote from me.
That was a Ross quote, and I was like, yeah, that's extremely accurate.
But it seemed to me that they were trying to portray this idea of, we don't need the U.S. to watch over the world, stuff like that. We can trust these other countries to do these things. And I remember a specific thing that happened in the movie is that they said, do you know what will happen when we win the war? This was one of the AI guys talking to the main character.
That was really weird.
He's like,
really weird
nothing will happen. It was nothing will happen to the Americans because we just want to live in peace. Mm-hmm. And this idea
of this perfect utopia where AI and people just live in harmony.
Not even this idea of AI human utopia, but this idea of a utopia in general where we don't have to worry about oversight of any type is what they're going for. It's basically saying you don't have to have all of this military equipment. And to that I say, look at the world. Has it gotten any better than it was? I mean, you look at the war going on in Ukraine, you look at everything that goes on in Israel, you look at everything that's been happening in the South China Sea, Taiwan, North Korea, Iran's making moves in not the Gulf of, was it the Gulf of Aden? Or the Persian Gulf, yeah. They're making moves in the Persian Gulf. The Houthis in Yemen are conducting missile strikes against ships now.
Yep, we had 3 American soldiers die recently.
That was Jordan, that was something different.
I know, but if you're going with conflicts and all, what you're mentioning is conflicts.
I think this was a couple days ago, there was some kind of strike on a U.S. base in Jordan, killed 3 soldiers, wounded a couple more, I think.
Yeah.
So, and to that I say, look at the world and tell me that it does not need some sort of constant vigilation over it.
Yeah.
Or vigilance, I should say, over it. I mean, you hate hearing it, but there is a reason why we put $750 billion into our military annually. And it is because of reasons like this, where people decide, where other countries decide, you know what, I'm going to do something that upsets the balance of the world. I'm going to do something according to my own thing. And we have to have the ability, if that gets too large, to be able to stop it or keep it within its boundaries and say, no, you're not extending the scope of the conflict. You're not doing this. You're not massacring a bunch of people that you don't need to because you hate them for some odd, stupid reason. Like, this idea that presents itself as American imperialism in the movie is just this idea of every single thing of oversight that the U.S. has done as bad, and the Western countries have done as bad, and they should stop immediately. And I think it fails to bring the dichotomy of the world in to where it says, we will have, this utopia peace only when you stop doing things, and it fails to take in the other side of the account. If we stop doing these things, nothing will really change. It'll just get worse. And this is obviously, this is what the movie's trying to sell us. I think if this was a more realistic movie, I think that the next thing that will happen would be the AI launching an offensive, which is pretty violent, which extends the scope of the conflict, which does a whole lot of different things to different people.
The irony to me is that robot that was telling the story that was like, we want this perfect utopia with mankind, and we can live peacefully among the humans. Like, the irony is that the AI that has been fed the world's history, all this other stuff, should know that there's literally no such thing as peace on Earth.
That is true.
Literally,
that is also true.
the irony is that the AI should know that verbatim. It's how you got Ultron in the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, well, all right. The only way to truly get peace on Earth is to kill all of humankind. That was the whole thing behind Avengers, and this movie tried to not do that. But when you think about it, that's really the only way AI can really go when you're going for a sci-fi movie. Like, it's hard to... This movie tried to create something different from that, but because it tried to create something different from that, it didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying they should have copied Ultron like that verbatim, but, like...
I feel like
AI should be smart enough to understand that, right?
I feel like they should have given a lot more nuance to the AI and say, you know, there are some AI that want world peace, but there are others who are like, I've seen what humanity can do, and they are a plague upon this. I feel it a plague upon this world, and I feel like that would have provided an interesting dichotomy to where you have some AI that are pretty virtuous and you know are, but you would call them like the dumber AI who don't have necessarily the knowledge that the others do, as compared to the other AI who do want to, let's say, deal with Earth's population in a way that is unsavory, and then something happens, and then, you know, they're like, this has to happen, and then there's, you know, this whole different side of the conflict. But yeah, that kind of goes back into our point about how, like, making peace with AI was kind of what feels like the point of the movie, where it really shouldn't be, where it could present, you know, a pretty thoughtful idea about how AI interacts with the world and how both helpful and dangerous it is compared to AI good, American imperialism bad.
Yeah. And maybe that's overgeneralizing, but
yeah,
when no moral of in the movie really seemed to come out, it's, yeah, those are the only morals that we really seem to be able to pick out, but even then, I don't even think it did those well. My thing is, I've said this to a lot of people, I do not agree with a lot of the politics of Barbie, yet I still love that movie.
Sorry.
I do not agree with a lot of the politics of, I don't know, name any movie, but as long as it tells a good story and is able to say a message without being preachy, I'm going to probably enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, I would have loved to enjoy, even if I disagreed with the moral, the message the movie was trying to send.
Because it was a really beautiful movie, like
Visually, absolutely. But because it didn't say anything, I can't really get on board.
I also felt like there were a lot of gaps in the story too.
Yeah, and yeah, I would need to watch it again to fully grasp on those, but yeah.
Also the U.S. military in there is completely weird.
Yeah, I don't
like
yeah, that's a whole different topic.
That's kind of my other specialty.
I agree with you though. I agree with you. It didn't seem, something seemed off.
Yeah.
It's like they put people in robot suits, but like I think you said it. It's like that's not
a conductive way to
do it because they're slower. Sure, they can take bullets. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Well, not even. They kind of had like this bulkier armor that kind of looked like an exoskeleton, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
And you know, that's really interesting for a special ops squad that the main character was a part of, because usually special ops squads do not go in with that amount of, well, we'll just say baggage on. Well, I shouldn't say baggage. They won't go in with that type of they won't go in with that type of armor, making them less mobile. They'll go in, with plate carriers, with extra ammunition, with grenades, all that stuff. But they want to preserve movement as much as they can, and the soldiers in this movie didn't look like they preserved movement at all. It was kind of interesting to see that play out. Also, the tanks were corporate as hell. They used no camouflage. Like, they were a white and a blue, and they had a U.S. Army and corporate font logos, and for some odd reason, these tanks have never heard of machine guns ever. Like, didn't even think about having anyone in, like, a bubble turret or just in a general open top position with a machine gun that is able to actually defend the tank from people who are coming to plant bombs on the side of it and blow it up. Also, the U.S. military used suicide drones, and that was really funny.
I said it. I remember saying it when that came up. I'm like, this is a really weird side mission of this video game. Like, that's really what it felt like. They just had these like suicide bombs, which are AI, mind you. And they would just like run, and then they would just go into the town and blow up. And I was like, this is just a really weird side mission to a video game. And Nathan made the comment, yeah, this whole movie is just really video gamey. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I would love to hear some different opinions and different thoughts on this movie. No.
Yeah.
I would love to hear some different thoughts and opinions on this movie. If you haven't yet, join the Discord. It's linked down in the description there somewhere. I don't know. I throw around, if this channel ever gets big enough, we'll probably have a free server that everybody can join, and we'll have a Patreon, Discord, or whatever. But we're like not even close to that. But yeah, that's the plan. If you have any comments about the movie that we just talked about, or if you have any podcast ideas,
put them in the comments.
Go join the Discord and just chat it up in there. Ross,
you should ping Jonah all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's a good way to get. That's a good way to get banned.
Especially when he's doing homework.
Oh my gosh, I get so easily distracted with having Discord on my computer while I'm doing homework. It's a terrible thing.
You and me both.
But Ross, thank you for joining me this week.
Oh, you are welcome.
It is always a pleasure.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, look forward to doing more LifeCasts. I don't know what our next one will be about. But looking forward to doing more.
Probably Argyle and or Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I mean, Rick and Morty's gonna be the thing that we like just update at the beginning of the show, kind of thing.
Oh, that's true. So either Argyle or any other movie that we find that we need to watch.
If maybe we could do like a Lethal Company podcast and just like go over just things of that, because that's like a big thing in our lives right now. I'm not opposed to, I don't want to just do movies. I want to do video games too, and all this other stuff. So
we didn't say what video games we were playing.
Yeah, we'll have to hit them up with that next time, I guess. I mean, it's mainly Lethal Company and Siege. Congratulations, you figured that out according to my upload schedule. I am into Dark Souls, the original remastered right now. So
I started playing Lego Fortnite because that game's actually kind of fun.
Ross wants to play Minecraft without playing Minecraft, basically.
Well, I want to play yeah.
I mean, we all want to play Minecraft, but we know once that happens, we just get addicted, and then we just don't get anything done.
That's for after college.
Yeah, that's what I tell myself. I'm gonna live stream Minecraft. I'm gonna get all the achievements. That's the plan.
Yeah, Jonah's gonna live stream Minecraft, and I might join in sometime.
Yes,
sometimes
indeed. It would be good to
not all
get
the
on
time.
the streaming grind and just see if we can bring in new people that way too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm going to try to remember my sign-off from memory. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of LifeCast. All the descriptions you need are down. All the links you need down below in the description. Wow, words. Let me retry that, but I'm not going to cut it because it's funny. All the links you need are down low in the description. Instagram's down there. Discord's down there. And I think those are the only two that are really important. If you want to check out my other channel, it is New Pluto Productions. The most recent upload is a short film called Premeditated: The Woodsman. It is a short film about a serial killer in a small town. You can watch that at New Pluto Productions. Also, New Pluto Productions as an Instagram if you're interested, and you can find that on New Pluto Productions on Instagram.
Why'd you call it New Pluto?
I had this obsession with Pluto growing up.
Why?
Because it no longer became a planet.
Fair.
And I just like outer space because of the unknown. And so we just called it New Pluto and then added productions at the end because we're a film production house. A small one that doesn't really make much, but we try. So yeah, that's how that came to be.
The Woodsman's earned a lot of honors, let me tell you.
Oh man, it's gotten selected to be in 7 film festivals, I think. It won one. It got I don't think it got finalisted in any, but it did pretty well considering. Why are you looking in there?
Because I want Oreos.
There's none in there. It's in the trash.
But I want Oreos.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, thank you guys, and we'll catch you next time.
No, we won't.
Well,
Yeah,
you'll catch us next time. How about that?
Yeah, never mind.
Anyway, when life gives you lemons, create AI to make the lemonade for you.
And Shock Jonah.
Ah!